Good morning from Cahokia. I am just outside of St. Louis. It's right over there on the Illinois side. And I am standing on Monk's Mound, the tallest, largest pre-Columbian earthwork in North America. So what is Cahokia? Well, Cahokia is the big brother to all you Scanies who watch me, because this is Scani Wandering and most of my videos are from Wisconsin. Cahokia is the big brother to Aztalan Park just outside of Lake Mills. That was a northern outpost for this city. Very similar in layout, has a main mound, had a palisade or a, I forgot what they call it exactly. The barricades going around made of posts along a river. But that was more of a trading post, I think. This was the city. The largest city in North America pre-Columbian, before everything started to pop up in Mexico. What happened to the Cahokians is still a bit of a mystery. There's no evidence of like an invaders or anything like that. The city just seemed to disappear. The people disappeared. Something happened, and they're not sure exactly what it was. Where I'm standing is where the chief's hut would have been, or maybe a little bit forward of here, on top of the mound overlooking. Now, this was not built all at once. This was built over generations. Build a mound, put a hut on it, chief dies, new chief comes along, we'll build a little more. Over the generations, they get to this height. It may seem like it's pretty big, but you got to consider a couple hundred years most likely to build this. Behind me here, there are mounds bigger than this that are built in less than a generation by current civilization piling trash. And that is in clear view of here. If you were to come here, say, and you know, if our civilization collapsed and someone came back here and looked at this mound and compared it to that mound, they would think that was the great mound. But that one holds a lot more treasures in it of history, because that has all our trash in it, and trash heaps are where they always find the way to really see how people lived. Now behind me, from the view of top of Monk's Mound, we have the main common area down there, which was competition fields where they played. I forgot the name, I'll tell you later. But that was the main plaza down there. Additional mounds all around out here. There were some other mounds that off that direction that have been destroyed. There were the pits that they took the dirt out of. There was one farmer who had a huge mound in his yard, and he also had this hole. Well, he wanted the hole filled, so he dismantled the mound and filled the hole. Well, the hole was where everything, he put the dirt back where it came from originally, but in the process destroyed the mound. And off over on this side, heading towards St. Louis, there's another big mound. And on the other side of that is what is referred to as Woodhenge. It is an astrological calendar, but made with posts. So they could like line up and figure out the, you know, equinoxes and beginning of summer, all of that kind of stuff. So they had that all laid out, and we'll go visit that a little later. And there is a point where it lines up with Monk's Mound in the sun at a certain time of year as well. So it all had a purposeful layout. So for my Wisconsin friends, If you haven't been to Aztalan, you should go. If you've been there and it intrigued you and you want to know more, because the information there is a little thin, there is a reference there to the Cahokian people and the Mississippians and the mound builders, but the information is a little thin there. If you want to know more information about that civilization, come here. They have a great visitor center. And if you have been here and want to know a little more about how this civilization reached out, visit Aztalan. Why here? Well, we are in the Mississippi riverbed, basically. Ancient riverbed, but very, very fertile land. So this was a location where agriculture could thrive. So they were able to build a city because they had agriculture, and that's always been the key to getting beyond just simple hunting gathering. Now the area also provided plenty of hunting gathering, seasonal squashes, seasonal plants that eventually over time they developed, improved, made them more efficient. And there is some question of perhaps the heavy reliance on maize wasn't the best thing, because just eating corn is not the healthiest diet. So they have a sample here next to Monk's Mound of the stockade. There's evidence that it went around most of the facility, and it came later in time. It was not part of the original design, and it kind of really just focused on the center of the complex, Monk's Mound, and a few specialty spaces, so it could be a refuge if necessary. But they never really showed or have any proof that it was needed, that there was a tax, like they needed to fortify this place. Oh, under those trees are where the deer hang out during the day at the bottom of the mound. So there's a secondary display down here showing how they sort of plastered over or mudded over the stockade. And if you want to see a lot more of that, again, Aztalan, they built stockade, a huge chunk of it here. Here it's just a tiny little sample, but there they went nuts with it. Well, take a look at that. All right, so here's a section of the stockade where they've shown it mudded over. So as I follow the trail, the mound off to my left, mound to my right, heading towards Monk's Mound and the collection of deer. So stay on the trail, keeps you off the individual mounds. Now straight ahead of me, you can kind of see this is the slumping of Monk's Mound. Since it is made of earth and they stacked it as high an angle as they could, over time, you know, when it gets neglected for 500 years, it kind of had a little landslide, or a couple of them over here. And then there's our friends I'm going to go annoy. I get the feeling they know they're fairly safe here. So I am now at the center of Woodhenge, or the observation circle here. So there's a center post that they use to observe, and from here you line up with the next post. So say at the summer solstice, or yeah, this one lines up with that one, which lines up with the corner of Monk's Mound over there. So the circle had changed a few times over the years. There's evidence of at least 4 or 5 circles, another one that kind of intersects one of the other mounds over there. So those changes may have reflected changes to Monk's Mound over time, if they're always trying to line up with where that edge was. Well, I've been wandering the trails for a while now. Get another deer out there. I was in some very open fields, part of the open plaza. I'm back here by another pair of mounds in a wooded area, and I have seen way more deer than people wandering these paths. Well, that's a little bit of a bummer. So I came here last March with my wife on a stop on our New Orleans trip. And we explored the Interpretive Center, and it was very interesting, had a lot of information in it. It is currently closed for some sort of renovations. I don't know when they plan to reopen, so my information is from memory. But the facility is open from dawn to dusk to explore and hang out with the deer, apparently. This is Mound 55. In 1941, excavations took place when there was about 9 feet of the mound still remaining. It had been plowed over. Several pre-mound structures were found. One a large circular building and another rare cross-shaped building, showing this area had ritual use before the mound was built. This mound was built in several stages, with the lower terrace extending towards the ground plaza, and buildings on the summit and fences around the edges. It was coated with black clay and could have been as much as 30 feet tall. It has been reconstructed to its original location and height. So this is one they've actually been able to excavate because it was so damaged and then rebuilt. So one of the main challenges to this location as settlers moved in was this Grand Plaza was such a beautiful place and so flat and so perfect for planting that it became farm fields until it had been reclaimed for its historical significance. So a lot of these mounds had been whittled down over time by plowing and then restored to some extent as we see them now. So that's what tour I can give you of Cahokia Mounds. I walked a couple miles around the ground, about a mile from Monk's Mound over to Woodhenge, and then I wandered south across the rest of the park. Not the whole thing though, there's a lot more trails that I did not get to, a lot more mounds to explore. I'm kind of bummed about the Interpretive Center. It would have given me a lot more information to give you. So thanks for coming along on this trip. I hope you got something out of it. Visit Aztalan if you're in Wisconsin. It's worth the visit. It's very similar, same people, just a different version, just a northern outpost of this civilization.